There Is No Light is a grim, 2D post-apocalyptic adventure game. It is brutal, it is hard, and it is unforgiving. Welcome back to Game Designer Plays. I'm Eric, I'm a game designer, and today we're going to be talking about the game design of There Is No Light. In the game, combat is a tool for survival. It is a way to travel across the destinations and keep yourself alive. The combat focuses on fast, precision-based action, twitch reactions. You need to position yourself quickly around the battlefield, strike fast, and be out before the enemies can attack. The whole combat emphasizes on your dash ability. You can dash in and out of combat, avoiding enemies, dodging projectiles. Your dash is essential in ensuring that you do not get hit. Every gameplay encounter is like a dance. You jump in, you jump out, you jump in, you jump out, and you try to time it based on what the enemies are doing. The enemies always have an indicator on their head the moment they start attacking, but the animations are quickly and fierce, so the moment you overestimate your own abilities, you will be struck. Additionally, you do not have a stagger duration, and what I mean by that is that the moment you get hit, you don't have invincibility frames. You do not have a chance to escape. No, the moment you get hit, you need to deal with the consequences of being hit. You need to get away, you need to dodge out of the way as quickly as possible. This leads to a very risk-reward based combat system. What I love about this dash ability is not only the fact that you're using it within combat, but also the fact that you're using it to explore the areas. You're trained to effectively use the dash ability. For example, by jumping precisely in between two platforms when you're adventuring around the area. This way, the game constantly reminds you how important it is to dash correctly and dash at the right time with the right precision. What I love the most about There Is No Light is by far its level design. It is top notch. It manages to create a specific atmosphere that they intend the player to have within a specific location, simply through how the levels are designed. Not only through the graphics, which are beautifully illustrated and allow you to really take in this world how it is, but also through the layout of the levels. The levels are puzzles in itself. The levels really make you feel as if you're exploring that location. It is exactly how you expect it to be when you're going through the sewers. You have these small corridors, but sometimes they branch off into bigger areas with greater threats, but still feel claustrophobic at the same time. This ties in very well with how the levels are designed around the secrets that they hide. Everywhere you go, there's something valuable to find, whether it's information, items, or another way to approach a situation. Additionally, the enemy placement is superb. I'm thoroughly impressed with how just a couple of enemies are configured within specific ways, within specific locations, to make it feel like an entirely different combat scenario with a different challenge attached to it. For example, in one area, there's a lot of spiders all of a sudden coming at you, which means you need to be effective, you need to be fast, you need to be precise when it comes to timing your attacks and dashing out of the combat. Whereas in another area, it's more focused on the positioning of where you're dashing. You're on very small and limiting metal planks that prevent you from moving freely. You need to know exactly when to go further, when to go back. Once again, this rhythm of the dance. When do you go in? When do you go out? And through these configurations, every combat encounter feels fresh. And they're increasing its complexity based on what they've previously taught you. Everything you do within the game leading up to the final part of a level is a tutorial. An invisible tutorial facilitating the mechanics that they want to teach you and how the enemies respond to you. Everything feels so natural, yet meanwhile it is so directed. Unfortunately, the actual tutorial in the game feels tacked on. You spawn within an external area and there's someone telling you what to do, and it is attempting to be funny, guiding you, and giving you an impression of what the gameplay feels like. Though in my opinion, I believe it overstays its welcome, and it adds a twist to the rest of the gameplay that breaks the immersion for me. Hopefully this is just a temporary thing, part of the demo, and that the tutorial can actually be ingrained within the gameplay experience, because I definitely believe they're able to do so if you consider the rest of the levels and how they teach the player what they want you to know. Additionally, another gripe with combat is the switching of weapons. So basically you have your main weapon, which you primarily use to quickly go in, do a couple of hits, go out. But you can also switch between weapons, and different weapons have different properties and different ways you can use them. You have a longer weapon, which is slower but deals more AoE damage, and it's a weapon you can throw. A fist weapon, which has some magical properties and allows you to also do a specific special attack. The problem is that these weapons don't really combo well with each other. If you're in the middle of a combination, one of the weapons is actually not able to attack depending on specific circumstances and actions you've taken before. That way it really breaks the flow of combat. It interrupts this dance that you've been having with these enemies, which is frustrating and discourages the player to actually switch between the weapons and pull off crazy combos. However, I do know that in the full game you will not be getting all the weapons at the same time, and you will get them through the progression of the game, and hopefully this will smoothen the transition curve out and you will be able to get more used to the fact that you can utilize different weapons. Another aspect which I was thoroughly impressed by was the sense of meaning. I felt that all the actions I had, all the actions I chose to do, all the people I interacted with, and all the places I visited carried meaning with them. There was a solid foundation of background story there. It felt like this world was excellently thought through. They knew exactly what they wanted to represent and what they wanted to provide in terms of what type of experience towards the player. This also goes hand in hand with the fact that you make decisions regarding how the story will play out, based on your dialogue with NPCs, as well as other important decisions, which will impact how your character is perceived by the rest of the world, as well as how the story will play out in the end. One thing I also want to note, in addition to the remarkable level design, is the enemy design. All the enemies are unique. All enemies have their own strengths and weaknesses, attributes that make every encounter a unique challenge. And that combination of these specific enemies with other enemies will lead to interesting engagements for the player. So for example, there's a bigger spider. This bigger spider will drop down and will exert a poison gas, which means you need to run away from it before you take 2 damage instead of 1. But meanwhile, other smaller spiders, which are faster, will crawl your way from the other sides. Lastly, there's also a ranged spider, which shoots projectiles at you from a further distance. And just based on those 3 enemies, you can have so many combinations of encounters for the player. And this is also seen in another level I played within the game, a bit further on, in where you are exploring this demonized world. All the enemies are so unique. All the enemies have interesting ways to surprise the player and to attack the player. For example, you strike an enemy, but the moment you strike, they will immediately go for a counterattack. This just leads to different flavors, different types of dances that you have with these enemies, which is very well executed. Fundamentally, this game is exquisite. The combat system is spot on, the level design is extraordinary. The main aspects which concern me are just in the nitty-gritty, the tutorial, and how the feeling of switching between weapons felt off. But overall, the experience is excellent, and just the type of experience with the inclusion of the ambience and the story and how everything interconnects with each other is definitely worth having. Whether you wonder if this game is for you or not, I would say that if you enjoy a journey, if you enjoy something that you can sink your teeth into, if you enjoy something which provides you with meaning for what you're doing, this is something that's definitely worth looking at. if you don't shy away from a serious challenge, and if you are okay with dying continuously and having to repeat some parts, then I would definitely recommend There Is No Light. Thank you so much for watching to another episode of Game Designer Plays. Tomorrow we'll be back with another video. Hope to see you there. Bye bye.